Hey guys, how you doing? It's been a crazy week, right? Like the longest week maybe of my entire life. But hey, you know what? We made it. We're here on Sunday, we finished a week, and we're here at the beginning of another one. Well, welcome. This is what confirmation class looks like now. I hope you like it, right? This is how we're gonna do it. But also, one other thing I want to talk about real quick right off the bat is your actual confirmation mass. I know we had it scheduled for April 25th. As of right now, that is still the scheduled date. We don't know the fate of that date yet. We're waiting for the bishop to tell us if Sunday Easter Mass is going to happen or not. And then we'll have a better idea of what's going to happen with the confirmation date. So really, we've heard no word. I would imagine that that date is going to be pushed back. That's what I would imagine is going to happen. But we have no word on it yet. All right? What I can promise you is that you are going to be confirmed. That is going to happen. No matter what, we're going to find a way to get you all confirmed. So don't worry about that. With that in mind, today, the bishop letters were due, and I would still like those in. Here's why. We're going to need those letters eventually. Whenever you get confirmed, we're going to need all those letters in hand. So please try and get them in. All right, I know there's a lot of time on your hands this week, so please try and get them in. If you don't have them in today, just get them done this week, and it'll be no problem. All right? Does that sound good? Good. Just email them to me. We'll be all good. But what we're going to do is we're going to get started with class. So let's do this thing. We're going to start with a game, all right? Come with me. All right, we're going to start with a game. So today we're playing a game called Sell Me Something Good.
Tell me something good.
Sorry, I like that song. Okay, so sell me something good. Here's how this game is going to work. I'm going to show you two normal household objects, and your goal is to sell me on it. You are only going to have 30 seconds, much like a TV commercial, right? And your goal will be to try and sell me. So what you're going to do is you're going to split up into two groups. If there's only two of you there, then hey, it's done. You're welcome. But if there's more, it's okay if you're uneven. Just split the family up into two groups, and together you're going to try and come up with a little commercial and sell me. So what you're going to do is use your phones, video a 30-second video, and send it to our Instagram, which is at OK2BeShy, which is OK2BeShy. I didn't come up with it, but that's what it is. OK2BeShy. Send us a 30-second commercial, right? Send the two back to back from the same account so I know that they'll collect it, and I will decide the winner. All right? Does that sound good? That's the game. Yeah? Any questions? No questions? All right. So I'm going to show you two household objects. All right? Here's the first object for team number one, and it is a slinky. Ooh, a slinky. What could it be used for? I don't know. You tell me. Why would I need a slinky? All right. Object number two for team number two is this small brush with very hard bristles, made of plastic, very compact. All right. Brush. Team one, team two. You have to sell these to me. You have 30 seconds. Make a video, okay? Before you do, let me give you a tip, right? Selling is all about identifying a need. Try and focus on some need, whether you make it up or not. Why would I need these things? And sell me on it, all right? Sound good? Go! Okay, so hopefully you have sent me all of those videos. Don't worry, I will respond to you as fast as possible, because I as well am in quarantine. So I will just be sitting at home on Instagram waiting for your videos. All right, so I promise we will find a winner as soon as you send me those videos. Sound good? Good. All right. So I want to tell you guys a story of a time I was evangelized to. A time when I really needed it, honestly. It's a story about my campus minister that I met when I went to college. See, I'd always grown up here in California. But when I went to college, it was all the way, halfway, more than halfway, across the country in a place called Indiana, right? And in Indiana, I met this man named Robert Kloska. Bob Kloska, I called him BK, right? He was one of the most inspiring people that I'd ever met. I don't know if you've ever met somebody and you thought to yourself, wow, that guy is a living saint. That's who BK was to me, really. He said a lot of things that inspired me as I went through his class, but what he did was he shared his story with me. The story of his life, the story of how he made all of his biggest decisions while kneeling in front of the Blessed Sacrament of the Eucharist. A story of how he battled cancer 3 separate times and how he'd even had malaria 3 separate times from doing mission work in Africa. The story about how he was sacrificing in all of these tiny little ways in his home life where he had 7 kids. And somehow he still found time to pray every week with God in spite of being such a busy man. Throughout that year, I learned so much about him that I felt inspired to try and be like him. He became a hero of mine, not just a teacher or someone to look up to, but someone that I wanted to aspire to be, just by the way he lived his life and the way he was able to share his story. While a lot of really great things happened when I was in Holy Cross, it was also a really hard year for me. I got injured and I wasn't able to play the sports that I had gone there to play. And moving that far across the country and experiencing my first winter being stuck inside for that long was really tough. And my grades kind of showed it. I was having some trouble, right? And in his class in particular, he saw that. And he saw that I hadn't turned in the kind of final report on the book that we had been reading that semester. And he said, Chris, listen, I want to help you out, right? And so I know you didn't turn in the report, but if you come with me, I have to turn in the grades tomorrow, but if you come with me today after school to my son's baseball game, you could sit, watch the game with me, and give me an oral report on the story. And if you do that, then you know what, I'll turn in a grade as though you turned it in. You just need to show me that you got what you got out of the book. And that's what I did. So I met him at his son's baseball game. You know, I was pretty nervous. You know, if anyone had been in that circumstance with a teacher, but especially one that you looked up to so much, you know, I was nervous. I made sure I was prepared, the book back and forward. And I went and we watched the game. He seemed more focused on the game than he did on me, honestly, which I wouldn't expect anything less than that. And he said, after I finished the report, he looked at me and said, all right, that sounds good. I'll give you a C on that. And as far as I can tell, that will probably get you to pass the class. Well done, Chris. And then he was quiet. He was quiet for a while. He was just watching his son play the game. He clapped a couple times. He cheered for the different teammates that were out there. And then he turned to me and he said, Chris, when are you going to wake up? And he looked at me right in the eyes. And it was clear to me now that he wasn't not focused on me. It's that he was really bothered by my attitude. Maybe for a while he had been. He said, when are you going to wake up, Chris? And I was kind of shook. I was like, I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to wake up. And he said, you know, if I could, right now I'd sock you in the face. If that's what it took, to wake you up. He said, Chris, you have so much to offer. I see you with the mission team, which was the team that helped him with the campus ministry stuff. He says, I see you do all these things with people, and it's amazing what you can do. But why haven't you woken up to all the things that God is calling you to do in your life? You have all these opportunities, you just need to grab them, Chris. See, he'd been talking about God all year long. He'd been sharing his story, but that was his job. That was his job to talk about God. The moment he really evangelized to me was when he looked at me and he saw me. He saw that I was missing a piece in my heart. He saw that I hadn't really accepted the role that God wanted me to, that I hadn't really taken this whole gift of life seriously. And he pushed me in that direction. He pushed me towards God. He reached out, and in the best way he knew how, and by threatening to punch me in the face, he brought that gospel truth of life, and he put it right there. He showed me how much he cared about me. That's what evangelization is. It's a two-step process. The first step is that trust. We can't just evangelize to people that we don't know, because they don't know or care what we have to say. Whenever we see Jesus in the gospel, the first thing he does when he meets someone is he meets them where they are. Sometimes he heals them. Sometimes he shares something about them to prove that he knows them deeper than anyone else has. And then he sets them on their way. With Klaska, he had that whole year of getting to know me, of telling me about himself, gaining my trust. And in this moment where he thought, and he thought correct, that this would be our last time talking, he set me on the path that I needed to be. Evangelization is something that's a lot more simple than it sounds. It's seeing the people around us in our lives, sometimes the people that are already the closest to us, sometimes the people that already feel that they can trust us, or that we trust them, and seeing where they need God and helping bring that piece of them and God together. Sometimes it's by talking to them about God. Sometimes it's by showing them love. Sometimes it's by threatening to punch them in the face. It depends on each person. It depends on each relationship. But it's something that we can all do. It's not something we should aspire to do on our best days. It's something we should be seeking out to do because it's so necessary. The very last words in the Gospel of Matthew that Jesus speaks are these: "Go then to all peoples everywhere and make them my disciples. Baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey everything I have commanded you. And I will be with you always, to the end of the age." Jesus didn't tell us to go and evangelize because he thought it'd be good for us. He didn't tell us to do it because he thought, that'd be your best life, would be to do that. He did it because he saw a need. He saw a need across a world, and he knew that we could do that work for him. He knew that we, as a church, could go and spread his gospel message, to share with the people who needed it most, who needed his love, his peace, his grace, his hope, wherever they were at, that we could be the ones to spread it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have some sharing time. So the point of this sharing time is this is when we're not just listening, we're not just passive, we're not just learning, but we're applying the faith to our own lives, right? It's in many ways the most important part of any of the classes or any of the faith sharing things that we do at church, is when we're learning how to articulate our faith, all right? Does that sound good? Yeah? Cool. So I'm going to give you the questions. There's going to be 3 questions, very simple ones, not a problem. I'll put them up on the screen and you guys can answer them. I just want to go over them with you real quick. The first one is, what do you like talking about the most? What is the thing that you just can't shut up about because you want to share so much. You just love sharing whatever you have in your head with the world. What is that thing? All right? Yeah, does that make sense? Good. That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, why is it so hard to share your faith? Why is it so hard to share your faith? The question is a personal one, not just in general, but for you, when you think in that moment, you're like, oh, I should share that thing that I learned at church. You're like, oh, not so much. What is that not so much? What's the thing that makes it particularly difficult for you? And the third one is, who is somebody who has evangelized to you, right? Who's had a moment with you. It could be one like I shared. It could be any other version of sharing their faith with you and meeting you where you were at. And what did they do? How did they evangelize you? What was so effective about it? All right? Does that sound good? Yeah? So those questions 1, 2, 3 will be on the screen and you're going to answer them. All right? Sounds good. And go. All right, you guys, what we're going to do for our closing prayer tonight is we are going to do something which is called a 3-minute testimony. All right? 3-minute testimony. How this is going to work is you are going to take some time and write yourself a testimony. A testimony is a story about your experience. Today we talked about how we're all called to evangelize, right? Each and every one of us are called to evangelize. And one of the greatest tools in our evangelization effort is our own stories. Our own stories are irrefutable. You can't argue against them. And they move people. The stories are powerful. Even Jesus told so many stories in the form of his parables. And the story that God gave you is your most powerful tool when it comes to evangelization. Now here's the thing, you might think, oh, I don't have a story, I was just born Catholic, and I grew up here, and yada, 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 right? Then in general, there are 2 different types of testimonies that will give. One is a major conversion where some moment happened, and another is kind of a slow growth from the time you were born until now. But if you remember the story I just shared with you about Klaska, that wasn't some big crazy thing. I was already at a Catholic school. I'd grown up Catholic, but there's a moment where I knew that I grew a little bit. And that's all we're going to do is find a moment where you grew a little bit, right? And it's 3 minutes because that is about all you need to just be able to share the story. You're not going to be able to get somebody to sit down for 20 minutes. Also, that can be intimidating for you to write something like that. So we're just going to do a 3-minute testimony. I'm going to include in the description, there's going to be a link to a Google document that you can print out if you want to use it that way, but I'm also going to break it down into 3 pieces for you right now. All right. The first one is before the encounter. Who were you before you really started kind of accepting your faith in Jesus into your life? How was your relationship with God before? What was your life like before? You got to set the table, right? For me, if I was to retell my testimony I just shared in a 3-minute version, I would say, hey, you know, I was pretty cool with God. I was at a Catholic school. Everything was nice, but I hadn't really accepted my purpose in life. I was kind of wandering around, and I wasn't really concerned about knowing where I was going. That would be my before the encounter. It can be something as simple as what I just said. Number 2 is a moment of conversion. Right? What was the moment that God entered into your life? What did he say to you? How did it feel? Who played a role in it, right? For me, God entered into my life in that moment with Klaska. I would say in a 3-minute testimony, I had this moment with a teacher who meant a lot to me, and he said to me, you know, oh, I would sock you in the face if it could get you to wake up. And it made me realize that I wasn't living the life that I needed to live, right? So what happened? What did it make you learn? And then we're going on to 3 after the encounter. What happened after, right? So, was kind of lost, cool with God, but not like super in love with him. I had a hero of mine call me out and say, you got to wake up and start living the life you're supposed to live. And then afterwards, I found purpose in my place in the church. And I found a family. And I found work. I found everything that I needed. It was the place I was meant to be. All right? Does that make sense? So you want to share a little bit about before, mostly share about that moment of conversion, and then a little bit after. What's important to know when you're doing one of these 3-minute testimonies, your life doesn't always change for forever. It doesn't make all of your problems go away, but it does, God does tend to take you from one place and plop you in another, and you do tend to be better off. Does that make sense? It's not a night and day thing, but that's what we're going to do. Like I said, if you want more information, I'm going to have a Google document in the description. So just take a few minutes, write this out, and then I'm going to encourage you, parents, share with your kids, kids share with your parents. It won't take very long. It's just meant to be a 3-minute testimony. But it's important that we as Catholics are able to do this, right? If it truly is the Great Commission, if it says in the Bible that we're all supposed to go out and do this, to spread the faith, to baptize the nations, if we're supposed to do something like that, then we should at least be able to share our conversion story quickly. When anyone might be curious, when everyone might say to us, hey, why are you Catholic? Hey, why do you go to those church classes? Hey, why do you spend so much time at church? Hey, why would you want to raise your kids Catholic? You can have that answer, right? Because we got to be ready. Sounds good? Okay, so I'll take a step back so you can see these, and we'll pause the video for you, or if you want to pause the video, and if you want to print out or just take a look at the PDF in the description, you can do that. All right? And this is going to be our closing prayer. All right. Oh, that brings us to the end of our class. Oh, I know. So sad. So sad. But don't worry. There's plenty of other videos. If you want to check them out on our channel, there will continue to be more videos as the quarantine goes on. So don't you worry about that. We have videos all the way from First Communion all the way through to Confirmation 2, and even one for the parents up there from last week. So check them out. All right? Please, 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 please keep my family in your prayers. I know all of your families are in mine. And just keep the church as a whole in your prayers as well. It's a weird and tough time for so many people. All right. So with that, peace be with you, and have a great night. Oh, also, so I know for many people, part of your worship, especially on Sunday, is giving to the church. And now that we're not going to Mass, so that can be an easy thing to just kind of fall by the wayside. But if you can and you want to, please help this ministry continue doing what it's doing right now, and all the other ministries of our church to keep pushing forward throughout this quarantine by online giving. We got a little link right over there. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.